Good morning, everybody. I hope you are all doing well. Did you know that through our lives we collect memories, and sometimes those memories have photographs, videos, or even an item that reminds us of something that had taken place or of someone. They remind us of the good old times, but they can also remind us of the not so good times. Even special occasions or holidays, they can remind us of how happy things were or the way things were, of gathering with family and friends, and of those we now miss. We remember these things because they affected our lives. In the Old Testament, we find often that an altar was built to remind the Israelites of something that God had done, a remembrance of how He helped them in a time of need, how He brought them through. Moments and times in history that are recorded for us today to see and know who God is can be found in His Word. And as I was reflecting over this last weekend, and how we were celebrating the death and resurrection of Jesus, and what it represents for us of those who believe, and for those who see themselves as sinners reconciled to God through the death and sacrifice of Jesus, who was sent to earth by the Heavenly Father because of His great love for those He created. My heart became saddened because how often does the death of Jesus affect my life? How does it affect our lives? What does a cross really mean to us? Does it mean a free ticket into heaven? Does it mean more than that? Do we really only remember His sacrifice and the pain He endured for our sake for one weekend a year, or on Sundays when we take a communion? How does His sacrifice affect our everyday lives? Are we giving Him our all daily and not just on Sundays? Are we living for Him just as He died for us? Without hesitation, without reservation, with love? Do we even realize and understand what He went through, the depth of what He suffered for us? He gave it all. He gave His life so that we could live. Because in all reality, it should have been me on that cross. It should have been you. But He chose to bear it all. He bore it all. He was mocked, ridiculed, scorned. He was beaten and bruised. And not just some rough housing and fighting going on. He was flogged. And if you ever looked into what flogging is, it's just horrible. It's a whip that contains some sort of sharp edges that when it hits your skin and was pulled back, it would tear the skin to pieces. And then, after all of that, He was crucified on a cross for you and I. If you read Isaiah 53, chapter 53, verses 3 to 9, it speaks of all that He had to go through for our sake. He was despised and rejected by mankind, a man of suffering and familiar with pain, like one from whom people hid their faces. He was despised, and we held Him in low esteem. Surely He took up our pain and bore our suffering, yet we considered Him punished by God, stricken by Him and afflicted. But He was pierced for our transgressions, He was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was on Him, and by His wounds we are healed. We all, like sheep, have gone astray. Each of us has turned to our own way, and the Lord has laid on Him the iniquity of us all. He was oppressed and afflicted, yet He did not open His mouth. He was led like a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before its shearers is silent, so He did not open His mouth. By oppression and judgment He was taken away. Yet who of His generation protested? For He was cut off from the land of the living. For the transgression of my people He was punished. He took and bore a lot so that we can be reconciled to God. You see, that's the depth of His love, of the Father's love. A Father who would send His Son to die for us. But how many of us would do the same? How many of us would turn the other way? How many of us would run away? I want to live my life for Him. I want to give Him my all. And not just on a Sunday or on Easter weekend or even at Christmas. I need to let my life be that altar of remembrance of what he did for me. That is what needs to affect my life. It's how I need to remember him, not just once or twice a year, but 365 days of the year, every day of my life. So how about you? Will you let it affect yours? Will you let your life be an altar of remembrance of what he did for you? Let me know in the comments. We'll see you next time.